ونستعينه واستغفره ونؤمن به عز وجل. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. أما بعد أيها المسلمون. With Allah's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer, all praise is due to Allah, the cherisher and sustainer of all life. We seek His aid, we ask His forgiveness. High is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I bear witness that there is no deity, nothing deserves to be worshipped except Allah, the one and alone. And I bear witness that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is a slave, servant, and messenger for all of humanity. We ask that the peace be upon his progeny, upon his companions, and upon us who Muslims be peace. And we extend the greetings of peace in the Quran and Arabic language. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Can we ask the brothers if you need a seat, we'll gift you a seat, come off the wall, unless you got a bad back or something. Also, for the last couple of weeks, Imam Nasser had announced that he would be doing 2 Juma'ahs. So inshallah we'll try to do that as well. But it's still up in the air. We're still trying to decide if the khutbahs will be shortened or we will continue to do 2. Okay? So we're going to try to keep it to 30 minutes, as he stated. When you hear a sound up here, that's my clock going off to remind me 30 minutes up. So turning to the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says to us in the Quran, Ya ayyuhan nasu inna khalaqnakum min dhakarin wa untha ja'alnakum shu'uban wa qabaila لتعرفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم إن الله عليم خبير. The English rendering says, Ya ayyuhan nasu, O mankind, inna verily we khalaqnakum have created you min dhakarin, from a male, wa untha, and a female, pardon me. Ja'alnakum, and made you into shu'uban, nations, wa qabaila, and tribes, lita'arrafu, that you may know one another. Inna verily akramakum, the most honor of you, inda, with Allah, atqakum, is the most pious of you. Inna verily, Allah is alimun, all knowing, kabirun, all aware. Now we have some that will tell us that Al-Islam, this religion, is made us all one ummah. And we know that in the Bible it says that Joseph was promised various coats of color, not one color, but various coats. And we also have in one of the hadith, when the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was taken up in the paradise, and he was shown these communities, the first being that of the Christians, then the Jews, then the Muslims. So that shows us that we have a variety. And remember too, dear believers, that the Quran came to correct mistakes that were made in previous scriptures. So Allah the Most High says that the best of you is he that is obedient. The only thing that makes us, that would appear better than somebody else, is not because of our race, not because of our nationality, nor our color. The only thing that elevates us or lifts us up is our obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is our taqwa. And when we say taqwa, that's another way of saying obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that his distinction, he distinguishes us, pardon me, so that we may know each other, not that we may despise each other. The important thing for us to remember is that once we identify ourselves as human beings with all other human beings, and once I know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made me first a human being, and whatever I put first other than that, he didn't make two different pots, only one pot, one mix, one formula. So when I know that, or you know that, we should be comfortable with ourselves, because we have been made from the same soul. So first I have my original self. Even before there was such a thing as nationality, before there was such a thing as ethnicity, before there was such a thing as racial differences, my original self existed. Your original self existed. Now upon that original self, we should structure our human life. Whether you're Pakistani, from the Sudan, but we should establish ourselves upon the original self. So the Quran does have, an accommodation for my racial pride, for my social racial pride, for my dignified racial pride and consciousness. So the Quran doesn't leave anybody out. And we should see the Quran as a book that respects the appetites of all decent human beings, whether it is their culture, their business activities, social activities. Allah respects that if it's decent and not corrupt, not impure. But for many of us, we need to have a curiosity for those that are running things, running the world, running the government. And we should examine the works. We should have a curiosity to see if what they're doing is the best. If it's in the governmental arena or the political arena. We need to examine or have a curiosity to see if what they're doing is best for humanity, is best for mankind. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, reminding you, that He made us from one community, and He made the people into tribes and families from one man, from one essence, from one nature. And He spread these people out all over the world, and they became tribes and families that they may know each other. And it says again that He made you different so that we may know who is best in His works. So the one that's best in His works, we need to see if the one that's exemplifying excellence in any arena, we need to see that that person is doing it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and not for anybody else. So this diversified pattern of society, all of us belong to it, and it challenges all of us. We know that Allah made all of the different nationalities. We could say Frenchman or Irishman or Nigerian or somebody from Ghana or Korea. He made them all. But this is an opportunity for all of us to show our place, our worth among all of these different ethnicities. And that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying. So we should make this an opportunity to prove ourselves. Since the world has shrunk, it's gotten so small. And we need to be able to compete. And we shouldn't see what is going on in the world, the progress that's being made, that for us it will be impossible to reach. You think any ethnicity have reached the apex in that particular field? So we should be suspect, and we should not think that others are superior, that we can't improve upon what's already been done. So we have to get in a competition. As Muslims, we are told that our Al-Islam, our religion, is a comprehensive religion. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He made us the best community. Ukhrijat lin-nas, brought out for the good of all people. So if our religion is comprehensive, and if we are to be the model, if we are to be the example that's brought out for all people, then we should be leading the charge. We should be in the competition. We shouldn't have the situation that we have now in this country. And I don't have to name anything. I think you know what I mean. And we have to stop reacting to situations. They should be coming to us for advice, for information on how to do this, on how to do that. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He has created us so that we can get acquainted with each other, so that we can benefit from each other. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed us in different parts of the world, and we have to come into these distinctions. We have these distinctions. We have these different experiences. We have different work. So we have to have an appetite to see these things as being liberated, when all of these different ideas and all of these different products can be brought together. I know you can go to the store now and they have Jamaican food, they have this kind of food, you see? So the world is shrinking, it's getting smaller. So our beauty is in uniting upon what is inherent in our life and nature, while keeping our distinction that have evolved up what is inherent. So we are keeping the distinction. And we need, as believers, we need a mental perception to dawn in our minds, or to become clear with us in our minds. Many things affect perception, and perception affects all things for the individual. So we see each other in the noblest of identities, and that is the human identity. Not racial, not ethnic, not cultural identity. We're one human type. We're equal sharers in the provisions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provides for us. So the principle is inclusion, but yet you should keep your distinction. And the Hajj is a protection for our unity and our diversity. You know, our children in our household, under parents, The parents, they don't have equal rights. They have equal rights, pardon me, when they belong to that one family. But don't the parents, they want to see all of their children pursue their own interests. That's lawful and legal, and become their distinct individual person. And that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants for all of us. And that's what the Hajj is saying. I want all of you in unity as one, but I want you to keep your distinction that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala approves of. That is, the taste that you have, the clothing that you choose to wear, the career that you choose. Allah doesn't want all of us as one mind and having just one picture. So I believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us for racial pride, created us for racial dignity, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intended for every ethnicity to feel good about being in that ethnicity. But He